Morning, everybody. Sometimes I think that people don't realize what America is, and they get caught up in the political agenda and the political system. And we all know that happens, in our circle, where we believe things that not even the local churches believe regarding God and his prophets and the secrets of God that nobody really knows about or cares about. And so when you think of America and where we are, we're Mystery Babylon, which is Egypt reborn. That's why they have the eagle. It's symbolic of like ancient Egypt. That's why Katy Perry videos have Egyptian stuff in them, because she follows Satan, and she said that she sold her soul to the devil. And they say that, and they always put it into a sentence that doesn't make it sound as if it's true, like they're just saying like a euphemism or whatever it would be, like it's raining cats and dogs, like it's a saying. It's just sometimes, or whatever, like sayings like that, like, oh yeah, they sold their soul to the devil. I, number one, would never use that phrase, even if it was that, just stating it. But she mentioned before she said that she was gonna be a gospel singer, but she changed to what she does now, which is kissing girls and being sexually promiscuous and all the other things that she puts in her music videos. But then you go to behind the curtains, and she's actually, you got to understand this for a second. Orlando Bloom is probably either a clone or he's ancient, like a fallen one or something like that. It's like he's not human. And a lot of times what they do is they put your handler, they'll make it be like somebody like that, like either a fallen one or a clone or like a robot, like a high-tech robot, and you'd be like, oh sure, they have that stuff now. You don't realize where we are in the timeline of all of time, and you don't realize what tech they have. They don't want you to know the tech that they have. Why would, if you had the tech that they have, would you want all of us to know about it? No. You'd be battering down all the doors you possibly could to find this tech that could heal you, change you to be better genetically, all these different things. But that's what they're holding off on, so that they can then offer it. Once a giant plague comes and starts killing everybody, everybody's going to want the cure to that. But it's like the anime Lazarus, where you take a pill that was created to make you not feel pain, but it kills you in 3 years. So was it really worth it for that to happen? No. Same thing just happened back in 2020, 22, around there to now. It was like 3 years after, right? So it's exactly what happened in the show Lazarus, which is a name that is the person that Jesus raised from the dead. That was his best friend, like one of his, if not the best friend that he had that wasn't included among the disciples, was Lazarus. He used to stand on the rooftops of the house with him at night. And this is coming from the writings of the Sanhedrin, that they asked Mary and Martha, like, did Jesus ever have any inclination towards women? Like, or did he, act like he might want to marry you? And they said no, he never did. He never came like after us. In fact, he was always like, we always wished that he did, but he would always be on the rooftop talking to Lazarus. And from what they were talking about, like what you could hear them talking about based on what they said, it's like just contemplations of the world and the human body, and just like all the things Jesus would know that he would tell like a best friend, because he's God. So he was sharing all that information with him, and that's why Jesus cried when he found out Lazarus was dead. But then Satan and death in the Gospel of Nicodemus are talking about how Jesus must be God, because he raised Lazarus out of the ground and he shot up as if he was an eagle, it says. So you have to think about how fast he must have shot out of the underworld after being dead for 4 days, and all of a sudden death is feeling something that he hasn't felt before, which is, and he's an entity that holds all the souls of mankind. So a living entity in the underground that can converse with Satan is saying to Satan, I feel that this person coming down must be God, because it's that same power that took Lazarus from me before. and only God could do that. And they know God, and they know his power. And Satan said when he woke up, he saw Jesus there with God. So if he saw Jesus with God at his creation, then he knows his power. But the unfortunate thing for the devil is that he says, when he was talking to Adam, he says that he lies even into himself. So you can't, when you lie to yourself, you can't even trust your own thoughts and intuitions. Because if he had done that, then what happened in the ascension of Isaiah, where Isaiah was cut in half the long way with a wooden saw, because he saw Jesus coming down from the seventh heaven, down through all the layers of heaven into our dome, our world, to go into Mary's stomach and be that pure sacrifice that was needed to save mankind from sin, which the original sin is that Satan slept with Eve to create Cain, which is the line of the tares. That's why Jesus stretched out his arms to both sides, because the thief on the cross, that was the mean one, he didn't save Jesus when he was 3 years old. He was going to call all of his band members, or whatever you call it. That's what it says they're in a band or whatever. I think that's more like a rock band type word, but that's what it says. So in this band of outlaws that are in this grove where Mary, Joseph, and Jesus are escaping to Egypt from where Jesus would have been killed by Herod, they run across Titus and Dumachus, and the good thief pledges 40 goats in his belt to save Jesus, and the other thief was going to tell on them. So you see that one is inclined to evil and hurting people, but one is inclined to righteousness. Both are sinners, but one kind of wants the evil more. This is Cain's line versus our line, and Jesus said, let them grow together, the wheat and the tares, until the end of time, so that you can see what my people are like, and you can see what Satan's people are like. You are of your father, the devil. That's our literal statement. These people spiritually, because of however that works in the line of people, you can see that Esau was hated, but Jacob was loved, because Jacob did sinful things, but yet he was favored by God, because Esau was like disgustingly sinful, like above and beyond sinful and things like that. And there's differences that you see among the people that God loves. Even though they're sinners, they have an inclination towards goodness in some cases and righteousness in some cases. They're not pure evil like that. And David killed his own friend basically to cheat on so he could take the wife. That's not something good, but Jesus said David had the same heart as God. So you can see that there's a righteousness of people, but they are tainted by the sin. And Jesus came to take that away from us, because only he can do it. And you and I have struggled our whole lives with specific sins that are specific to us. We know the ones that are worse for us specifically. And Jesus came to fix all that stuff. And he has already paid on the cross for every sin that has ever existed, both in the past and in the future. Except that most people don't know that. And even worse, they don't want to know that. They don't want to accept that. But I assure you that Satan calls Jesus God. And we are currently living in a country that can only be fixed by God, just like in Egyptian times. Only God's plagues could fix the mindset of the Egyptians and the kings of Egypt. So the rulers of Egypt, the pharaohs. Only God could fix that, and that's where we are right now. You're trying to pump up a man who is on their evil side, pretending to be on your side. And that's the trump card. That's the card that has been played, is that you have been played. You think that Trump is going to save anything, when in fact he is the very thing sent as a Trojan horse to destroy America for Obama, the Antichrist. And as this all plays out, do not be afraid, because you should only be fearing the one who can kill the soul and the body, not just the body, which is a digital matrix that we live in, a digital organic matrix. Like, this is like a matrix that we live in, but it has real everlasting consequences where your soul can go to hell or to heaven. So don't play with it. But anyways, I hope that might have helped you if you don't know that type of information. If you want to learn where these things come from, I'll tell you the books, why they were removed, who removed them. All that stuff is on my channel. In the past 10 years of videos, you just have to kind of dig for it, but it's all there, pretty much what I'm saying right now. So God bless you all. If you want me to send you the books that were removed by email, it's Jared, JaredSallan @gmail.com. God bless and take care.